Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Out and About in the UK. Coming up a little bit later on the show, we'll be meeting County Tyrone artist Comhghall Casey, who is in London recently for his exhibition at the Barbara Stanley Gallery on Connaught Street. And on a recent visit to North London, we bumped into Nashville singer-songwriter David Brooks of the David Motel band, who is in London to embark on a series of gigs here in the city. But first, we're at the Bloomsbury Theatre on Gordon Street, which sees some of the best of London's traditional Irish musicians gather for a Hooley at Bloomsbury, which launches the upcoming Return to Camden Festival. Andy, we're here at the Hooley in Bloomsbury. You must be delighted to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Great evening, yeah.
And it's all part of the bigger picture, the Return to Camden Festival. That's a great festival as well in the London scene.
Yes, and also the festival, I guess, is kicking on from here with the introduction of Irish music and dance in London, and it's very much a key event in that respect.
Tell us a bit more about Lacala. It's got quite a long history.
Lacala certainly has a long history. It started out as a loose association of Irish musicians in London that got together with common interest and played regularly together, and the lineups changed a lot over time, whether it was informal or very formal. And the band kept going for many years, but eventually the members all kind of down their tools for a while or went off in various ways. And then some old material was relaunched and it was put on CD, and then the band came back together at the time to put that launch together, and has just kept going ever since.
What's the lineup right now?
So the lineup is, it's got some original members in terms of normally Danny Meehan and Liam Farrell and John Rowe and Kevin Boyle, and they're founder members. And then myself and Paul Gallagher, the flute player, have come along in more recent times following the passing away of two of the founder members as well.
People back home, people in Ireland and people all over the rest of the UK who are watching tonight, they may or may not have heard of Lacala, but if they want to find out more, how can they do that?
You'll find some of our material on the various websites. We've got some videos on YouTube and have been utilising some of the social media, and Copperplate Production does stock our albums as well if they want to buy into any of that stuff. You're originally from County Clare?
I am. I'm from Innistimon in County Clare, yeah.
And County Clare, Innistimon, is the heart of traditional music, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they reckon a lot of it started there. That's where all the lads, the boys like Christy Moore and the Botty Band, they were all over, they came over that side from Dublin and that back in the 60s and what have you, to meet the likes of Michael Russell and his brother and all the other musicians around the county. It was always a strong kind of tradition of that there, as opposed to other counties in Ireland, really.
And your own background, your own inspiration, music, is it folk or is it traditional Irish?
It's kind of traditional Irish. That's what I started singing, I suppose, from a very young age, because I've come from a family of singers. As soon as I heard the Botty Band, I thought, Jesus, I never thought this music could be so good. And then with that, I started to get involved in the scene over here. I met people like John Bowe, Brendan Mulcair, who were, you know,
who are legends in the traditional music scene here.
Of course. Yeah, they're legends here in London. And there was a massive scene. I mean, back in the mid to late 70s and all the way through the 80s, I could have played 7 nights a week in London.
I heard you in rehearsals there singing Raglan Road, and what a great job you made of it.
Thanks
And
very much.
tell us about what that song means to you.
It represents a lot for me because it represents Ireland. It represents what's great about Irish culture, about Irish literature, poetry, because whatever way you look at that song, it's just magnificent, really.
On Raglan Road, of an autumn day, I saw her first and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare, that I might one day rule. I saw the danger, yet I passed along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be an autumn leaf at the dawn of the day.
Artisan Row is quite a new 4-piece band. We've only been around for a year or so. Got together for our first gig in the Nightjar in Hoxton on St Patrick's night last year. And really it came about after a trip to NS Trad Festival that we did, which was over to promote my own CD, and the 4 of us were available, and we had great crack that weekend, and we decided that we'd do a little bit more when we came back.
So I'm singing and playing guitar. I guess it's the first traditional music I've been involved with where we're using electric. So electric and acoustic. And I think what we're trying to do is, being sort of session players and traditional players for a long time, trying to do something slightly different with backing, you know. So you can have a listen to it and see what you think. But it's a work in progress.
As Conor was saying, the key thing is we're a 4-piece band. It's not a saxophone and banjo up front and 2 backing instruments. We really want to have equality amongst the sound and have 4 really strong instruments where you can hear everything that's happening. I think there's a really strong influence in the backing between Conor and Pete. They've got a really strong musical relationship between them, as well as a friendship, and that really comes through in the music.
The next Return to Camden Town Festival is happening at the end of October. It starts on Tuesday the 20th of October and runs through till Monday the 26th of October. We've got Altan headlining. We've got a Cran 3-piece vocal and instrumental group supporting them and doing something on the Monday as well. We've got all the bands that you're going to see at tonight's gig playing at different times during the festival, different venues. We've got a screening of Brian Rooney's documentary called The Godfather in RADA down the road, which is quite exciting. And that's followed by a concert by the Leitrim Equation. We've got lots of musicians flying over from there, including Eleanor Shanley, Dave Sheridan, and Paul McGovern, John McCartan, etc., etc. What else we got? We've got a Birmingham Irish night with Noreen Cullen and Adrian Burns and Conor Healy and friends. People want to find out more about the lineup because I'm bound to have forgotten somebody. The website is www.returntocamden.org, or we're on Facebook if you look up Return to Camden Town, and we're on Twitter as well. We're at Return to Camden. It's all there.
We did get some sad news this week, unfortunately, you know, and moment of reflection maybe. One of the founding members of Lacala, but also one of the great stalwarts of Irish music here in London, passed away this week in Roger Sherlock. Roger Sherlock was a tremendous man, powerhouse of a flute player. And he went back to Ireland some years ago, but he originated from Sligo, and we're going to finish with a set of tunes which the Sligo men and women claim their own, and tonight we're not going to dispute it. It's the Tar Bolton set. Thank you.
And such a fitting way there to round off the evening with a lovely tribute there to the late Roger Sherlock, who was so influential here on the traditional Irish music scene. We're going to take a break right now, but do come back to us for the second half of the show. You're very welcome back to the show. Well, Irish artist Comhghall Casey was in London recently to exhibit his work at the Barbara Stanley Gallery on Connaught Street. We went along to take a look. Comhghall, where did your love of art start?
Well, I've two sisters who are identical twins and they're 5 years older than me, and they were always doing art and painting and craft around the house, so it was kind of inevitable that I would get into it as well. And once I started painting when I was quite young, I just found out a feel for it, you know, and I kind of understood it from when I was whatever age, and I just kept at it.
How would you describe your style?
Oh, it's very realistic. It's well, everything's painted from life. All the paintings are from life. They're not from photographs. But I think the resulting paintings they have a particularly intense realism about them. They're nearly touchably real, slightly a different sort of realism from a photorealism. They're very real, but they don't look like photographs.
I was just looking at one of your paintings here, the one of the toy train in the Lego train, and I noticed the reflection on the ground below it. That's that gives it such depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, the reflection. All the paintings have some sort of reflection in the foreground. It gives you more information about the space that these objects exist in. So yeah, it's a nice device that you can use for making the space convincing. I did go to college in Belfast, but you don't really get any sort of technical education in that regard. So really, it's just been trial and error, just working myself. Talking to our other artists is the main source of knowledge, really, that I've found.
The current exhibition that is here in the Barbara Stanley Gallery in Connaught Street in London, or Connaught Street as some people might call it. Is there any particular theme to it?
Yeah, well, they're all of objects. This is still life. The exhibition's title is Still Life, so it's a still life exhibition, but it's quite pared back. Still life. They're all one object or a group of the same object against a blank background. There's no narrative. They're not really telling a story. They're very much just about the object that's depicted. I grew up in Omagh in County Tyrone, so I get back there fairly often.
Omagh, would it be very synonymous with art at all, or was there much of a background or a history of art in Omagh?
Not particularly so. I mean, I would have had good art teachers in school, and there was a small gallery in the town. It wouldn't be hugely associated with visual art, but Belfast would have had the Ulster Museum, and the Ulster Museum had a nice, varied art collection that we would have brought to as children, and we always liked seeing the collection there.
So would the museum in Belfast would have had a big influence in your career and your inspiration?
Yeah, I think it would, because you were brought up. The museum in Belfast, it has the art gallery, it has the natural history, it has geology, it has the dinosaurs, all in one building. So you were brought round it all, and I think if there were separate buildings, you mightn't necessarily be brought to the art gallery, but you're brought to the museum. You've seen all the paintings, and it gives you a feeling that painting was a worthwhile thing to do. It was a relevant thing that you could be doing when you were older.
And moving forward now, what's the next step in your career?
Well, I will be doing another show in Dublin next year. So it's really just get stuck into that. I've painted in the BP Portrait Awards in the National Portrait Gallery here in London. That's opening tonight. And yeah, so it's really just a matter of entering things like the BP Portrait Awards, doing the Royal Academy show in London, which I've got work into for a few years. I'm just working at it and keep trying to sell paintings and keep trying to make a living from it.
So Cole, if people want to find out more about your work, how can they do that?
They can go to my website. It's at comhghall.com. That's comhghall.com.
And everything that they need to know is there?
It's there, yeah. There's links to my Facebook and Twitter and galleries on the website.
Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you very much, and we really, really enjoyed the afternoon here.
Right, brilliant. Thank you, Ian.
Many thanks there to Cole for inviting us along there to his exhibition. We really had a lovely afternoon. On a recent visit to the Claddagh Ring Inn in Hendon, we met up with Nashville singer-songwriter David Brooks of the David Motel Band to find out more about his life, his music and the scene in Nashville. David, we're here in the Claddagh Ring in Hendon. You're just over from America. Tell us about your experiences here in London.
I've been having a great time this week. I've ridden the tube multiple times. I think I'm an expert at this point now. Played a show at the Bedford Live this past Wednesday. It was fantastic. Great turnout, great crowd, great venue. London has been fantastic. Maybe I should move here.
How would you describe your sound?
Yeah, I would say Americana. There's a bit of singer-songwriter-ness to it, but I also really love the aspect of being in a band and a cohesive group of individuals, playing music together. So not really fully singer-songwriter, but yeah, I guess traditionally Americana, I think, is right on the money.
What is Nashville like for a musician?
Wow, it's a place where it's tough to always get a lot of people out to your shows, just because there's so much great music going on. But it also is a place that reveres and loves music. So you're constantly there with other musicians and learning and being kind of tested as you go through. So it's a great place to grow up.
It's almost like a melting pot of musicians, and I suppose the best of them kind of go to the top, really, do they?
Not always, but yeah, a lot of them do. So it's a mixed bag, and it's not just country music. Nashville's known as country music, but it's also a music city, and there's tons of genres and great musicians all across the board.
And currently, you're touring in Nashville, touring the States. Are there any plans to come back? I know you're here in London now, obviously doing some gigs in London. Any plans to go to Ireland?
Oh, I love to make it back to Ireland. I've only visited before on vacation or holiday, but I'd love to come and play, and maybe in the next year or so we'll make something happen. That would be great.
And finally, before you get into the song itself, if people want to find out more about your music and about your group, how can they do that?
First place to go would be the davidmotel.com, and then also we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So all the social media places you could imagine, we're there.
David, you're going to sing a song for us now before we finish up. What's the song you're going to do for us?
This song is called "Ain't That How It Goes." It's our first European UK single. It kind of defines the album that it was just released on. It's about traveling and kind of dealing with the relationships and being back and forth and not being settled, and it's I guess a good explanation of our overall sound.
Thanks, David. Take it away.
Well, I was kicking my feet on a downtown street I'd never been down before, when I saw a pretty thing coming up my way on the opposite side of the road. I said, honey, oh honey, where have you been? I've been waiting so damn long. She said, I'm sorry, so sorry, you shouldn't even bother. I'll be married this time next month. Well, ain't that how it goes? Your heart is fighting what your brain don't know. Well, sometime you gotta take it slow. It comes as quickly as it goes. Well, New York, you're a friend of mine. I wanna thank you for letting me in. But I've been so far south beneath the Mason-Dixon line, I don't think we'll ever meet again. So now I hang my hat in Nashville, 'cause I don't know where to go. Yeah, there's a girl for me, she's back in Baton Rouge. I just don't think that she'll ever know it. Well, ain't that how it goes? Your heart is fighting what your brain don't know. Well, sometime you gotta take it slow. It comes as quickly as it goes. So here I sit in my living room, well, I'm wasting the night away. Well, I may be down, but don't count me out. I'm gonna sing until the break of day. Well, ain't that how it goes? Your heart is fighting what your brain don't know. Well, sometime you gotta take it slow. It comes as quickly as it goes. And if this life ain't make-believe, if we ain't acting out a scene, when you fall down on your knees, you gotta get back on your feet.
Many thanks there to David for taking the time out to speak to us, and we really enjoyed hearing one of his amazing songs. If you'd like to contact the show, send an email to ian@irishtv.ie, and you can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have right now, but do come back to us next week when we'll be out and about in the UK.